welcome back. My name is Kate from StartSomeGood. I'm a crowdfunding coach and your host for Crowdfunding 101, the mini-series. Now, before I dive into today's lesson on storytelling and video creation, I want to make sure that if you're watching this video anywhere other than inside the Crowdfunding 101 mini course, do make sure you sign up to the link below this video, because if you don't, you're missing out. This video is part of a whole series to support you to create a fantastic crowdfunding campaign, and there are worksheets associated with each of the lessons. So to get those, do sign up and join the entire course. Don't miss out. All right, so today's lesson is all about storytelling, and we are going to be covering the 5 hooks of social change storytelling to enable you to identify which ones resonate most with your campaign and give you the best chance of succeeding to connect that story with the values of your potential donors. We're also going to share some tips on creating great video without a big budget. So fundraising, as you may well know if you've written grant applications before, or if you've been involved in any other fundraising, whether it's events or pitching to donors or high net worth individuals. Fundraising, bottom line, is all about storytelling. And your goal is to tell a story that inspires your supporters to take action and pledge towards your campaign. And crowdfunding is no exception. So, how do you identify the story about your project that's going to resonate most with your potential supporters? And this is where we talk about the 5 hooks of social change storytelling. Because after supporting hundreds of social impacts across 24 countries, at StartSomeGood here, we've identified that there are 5 common stories that most campaigns use to inspire people to support them. Of course, most campaigns won't fall neatly into these 5 categories. Rather, you should think about which of these are the strongest stories for you to tell and whom these stories will resonate with most. So, number 1 is the issue story. So, this is all about your why. So ask yourself, what is the issue or cause that your campaign addresses? And who are the communities or individuals who care about this issue? We've listed some examples below in this email, and do go ahead and grab the worksheet to start to note down the issues that you're going to be impacting, which will enable you to tell stories around that issue to connect with the values of your supporters. For example, the Black Rainbow used the issue story. They had 2 issues, in fact: the Indigenous suicide prevention in Australia and mental health support for the LGBTI community. Now, this campaign connected with over 400 donors by reaching individuals, organizations, and bloggers, for example, who cared about those issues, which those 2 issues may be quite different and people may care about one more than the other. So you want to make sure you're getting the right story in front of the right audience. The second social change story hook is the place story. So this is all about the where, your location. So have a think. Is there a particular geographic region, for example, a town, city, or country, that your project benefits? And who are the people who care about that particular place? For example, in the case of Gali Gali, they were creating an open source mapping tool to better reveal the diversity, history, and economy of Kathmandu. So their story is largely Kathmandu's story, a place of vibrant and undiscovered culture. And this story resonates with those who live in that location, but also with anyone who has a memorable or moving experience in that location. The third story hook is the innovation story. So it's the how. How are you going about solving this particular problem or impacting this particular issue? Is it innovative? So ask yourself, is there something about your project that is particularly new, unique, or innovative? And who might be interested in this innovation, even if they wouldn't usually be engaged by your issue? They might be excited by your approach to that issue. So, a great example is Ripe Near Me, which was founded to bring together the ultra local food community through their innovative iPad app. They connected to over 300 donors who not only supported the local food movement, but understood how the added value of such technology could give the community an even bigger push forward. So there will be people out there who care about iPads regardless of whether local food culture is important to them, and they might be willing to support purely based on the innovation around the technology being used for the project. So the fourth story hook is the we story. It's the community story. So have a think about whether there's a group of people connected to your project who might feel inspired to support simply in order to support the community that they feel part of or to express their identity as part of that community. So an example here is Clean Birth, which is an organization that provides assistance to women during childbirth in Laos. And they've run 3 successful projects over the past 3 years on StartSomeGood. Now, how have they managed to do that? Well, they've been able to grow their community of supporters over the years, raising awareness about their cause and continuing to expand their network of donors. So we've provided a link to that in the email below, so you can have a look. Now, the fifth story hook is your story. It's all about the people involved in the campaign, whether that's you, your team, your organization. So, this is the who story. So, ask yourself, why do you care about this issue? What gives you the passion and the commitment to put yourself out there and invite people in joining you to create a better future? To many of the people closest to you, friends, family, and colleagues, this is going to be a story that will motivate them to take action because they care about you and they believe in you. So, is there an interesting story about you or about the people in your team that gives you and your initiative credibility or makes it even more inspiring? So, an example here is Jennifer, who told her story through her campaign, which is called Bring SMAC, SMAC, Sock Monkeys Against Cancer, to life. And she incentivized almost 400 donors to support and launch her project. Now, while the topic of cancer is certainly front and center in the campaign, there is a creative element of the monkeys themselves and the story that inspired many people to support her. And it was the story of her personal experience and commitment that she demonstrated to this project over the years. When sharing part of this story, you should bring more of yourself into the communication through using I statements, through your personal vulnerability, authenticity, and passion expressed in your own unique voice. So those are the 5 story hooks. Do download the worksheet so you can make some notes around which ones you feel you'll be using. Remember that your story might not fit neatly into any of these boxes. There might be overlaps. I'd recommend choosing a leading issue hook or issue story, and then finding some others that will complement it as well. So we're going to move in now to how to tell your story, including creating a great video. So before we move into video, just a few tips on how to actually write your story in a really inspiring way. We do recommend you use images. So as the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So great quality photographs and nicely designed promotional images are fantastic for making your campaign easy on the eye and shareable on social media. We also recommend that when it comes to writing your story, that you break it down into subheadings and structure your story in a way that, there are many ways to do this, but it can be really powerful to lead with like a statement that gives us a really clear idea of what you're doing and why you're doing it. Then you can lead into telling your vision for a better world. So remembering to lean into that big picture vision. Then tell us about the problem or the barriers that have been encountered which block people from reaching this bigger vision. So outlining the problem gives us a sense of what's really at stake here, and then coming back to explain how your project provides the solution. So that way you're sandwiching the problem in between your big vision and your project as the solution. Then tell us about your team, your fundraising goal, and finish with a call to action. So by breaking up your story into those subheadings, complementing it with some pictures really makes it easy on the eye, particularly for users who are scrolling on mobile. Finally, if you can, use diagrams to map out anything that is fairly complex in a visual way, again, just to make it easier for the audience to understand what you're doing. I want to talk a bit about video now and how to use video for storytelling. It's one of the most effective mediums to connect with your supporters on an emotional level and communicate that future that you're creating. So I want to run through 4 of the most important things for you to consider when you're creating your crowdfunding video. So number 1, this is not Hollywood. Remind yourself that you don't have to produce a really big budget film for your crowdfunding campaign. You don't have a $2 million budget to create a viral video ad. This is your project and your story, so all that you really require is authenticity. It can be recorded on your smartphone or on a small digital camera. And don't worry if you're an amateur and it shows. Just remember to keep it simple. Looking directly at the camera to tell your story and to communicate really gives it that human connection, which is what we need most. Remembering the job of your crowdfunding video is to help your donors get to know you, like you, and trust you. And so just shooting a video straight on your smartphone in many cases will be enough. If you want to get fancy, you could cut in some photo montages or video montages with either your benefactors or some of your partners, or maybe some images from the project as well. And I do recommend, if you don't have a budget for creating video, call in some favors from friends. Put the word out there. You might even be able to strike a pro bono deal or a post-payment deal. If your campaign succeeds, you then provide a fee to the videographer or give them some credits, or shout outs in your campaign as well. So do think creatively about how to call in favors if editing is not your strong point. With your video, talk directly to the camera because that provides the human connection. And also think about how long you've got their attention for. So ideally, 1 to 2 minutes is the perfect length for your crowdfunding video. More than 2 minutes and your audience is going to start to tune out. So remember that your campaign story below the video will give you an opportunity to expand on your story. So the video doesn't need to tell them everything. It just needs to enable you to make that human-to-human connection with your donors, get them excited so they can read on. Finally, the 4th tip is to offer a clear call to action. So tell your donors what you want them to do. Even just a simple sentence like, please donate to support our campaign, select one of our rewards. We have a variety for you to choose if you've got different tastes or different budgets, and please share our campaign with your friends. So that was a 2-fold call to action. It was please donate and please share. So to cover those 4 tips again, number 1, remember it's not Hollywood, keep it simple. Number 2, talk directly to the camera to create that connection and authenticity. Number 3, consider how long you can hold their attention for. 1 to 2 minutes is best, and offer a clear call to action. All right, so we provide some tips below in the email, including a worksheet on to help you create your storyboard for your video. And that's it for today's lesson. Stay tuned for the next class coming up shortly. I'll see you there.